we do have plenty to discuss. I had to choose quite a few, but hey, we'll get into it soon. So, of course, just a little preview. We're going to go over both preseason week 1. Well, technically week 1. I don't count the first Hall of Fame game as week 1. And going into week 2, looking at the matchups and see which ones are worth talking about. And also, the rookie quarterbacks did make quite an impression in that week 1 matchup. Some of them good, some of them rocky, but I'm gonna give you my impressions on them. And of course, there's more Denver Broncos quarterback drama. Yeah, this is something I really had to pay attention to because the fans were pretty livid about in this one and really gave their opinions, and I just had to take a good look at it. And of course, Aaron Rodgers starting to get a little dissatisfied in Green Bay now, are we? This is pretty interesting to see. Had a few comments, including about his young new wide receiving core. And of course, new Madden came out Friday. Not this Friday. Came out early in the week. I think it was on August 10th. And it has some good reviews, some bad, but is it really worth to justify not only a $60 base price, but also probably getting a Hall of Fame edition, which is now $80? And of course, to conclude the show, we are going to talk about the 5 worst secondaries in the NFL, and trust me, it is worth going over. So, hope you guys can stay tuned, and here we go. Alright, first we're going to talk about preseason recap. We're going to talk about week 1 preseason. Give some mentions to some good performances. I'm probably not going to talk about any of the quarterbacks I really want to talk about. It's probably going to be about some of the honorable mention rookies, etc. Right. Forgot Google considers the Hall of Fame game as week 1, but who cares? Alright, of course, you had the Lions going against the Raiders. The Raiders beat the Lions 16-10. Ooh, that must have been some interesting match. I didn't get a chance to see it, just primarily due to where I was. An honorable mention for the Lions playing was their running back Ryan Johnson, who had a pretty good game, had 7 carries for 34 yards, no touchdowns, and also helped catch the ball with 4 receptions for 33 yards. One thing that was mentioned was a big run that he had against the Raiders, but unfortunately was called back due to a penalty. The Lions do seem to really want. The Lions may have the Lions really found their stable running back. They really haven't had one since good old Barry Sanders abruptly retired. And that certainly did put a damper on some things. I did like based on what I saw, he did have good bursts, but again, I don't really take it so seriously because he was going against 2, so there is some hope, some faith that maybe Johnson could be the running back that they've been looking for, the next Barry Sanders. I don't know if he'll be the next Barry Sanders, but he'll be the next best running back after Barry Sanders. And of course, looking at the Raiders, I gave a quick shout out to Chris. I think Warren III. Chris Warren III. I was making sure I had it right. Who had a very good performance, 86 yards on 13 carries, so he had no touchdowns. And of course, this is a quarterback I really like rooting for, Connor Cook. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback. Seen him slip all the way down and not getting drafted by the Browns. I thought he was a pretty good quarterback. I did like watching him, and honestly, he should. I think he can be a starter, maybe in the long run, probably, but maybe if he's a backup from now until the end of time, it's just one of those things. Of course, another game we're talking about, the Minnesota Vikings going against the Denver Broncos. The Vikings beat the Broncos 42-28. One of the honorable performances I'm going to mention is definitely Kirk Cousins, the starting quarterback. He had, I think, only one drive with the team and did a very good job. Was 4 for 4 for 42 yards and a touchdown. And also got to mention Rock Thomas. I'm pretty sure that's his name. I know it's spelled R-O-C, but I probably butchered up pronunciation, who had a very stellar performance, 3 catches for 102 yards to go with 2 touchdowns. Maybe he'll beat out Laquan Treadwell for the number 3 job. I mean, it's not hard to do. From what I heard, he had dangerous speed, including, I think, a 78-yard touchdown with the team. Had a 78-yard touchdown, so that's definitely going to help him become a much, much better player. Some of them, I also saw maybe he's also a running back, but hey, maybe put him at wide receiver and have him beat out Treadwell. Pretty easy to do. And of course, they really do they're probably going to have Thomas probably be, the next Jerick McKinnon probably. He'll be the third, except with more of a reduced role. And of course, looking at the Broncos, which I'll get into further, one notable performance I will mention, Chad Kelly, who played with the threes, was 14 of 21 for 177 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And of course, I'll also mention Royce Freeman, who also had 38 yards on 4 carries to go with a touchdown, as well as I thought he had a catcher, so probably not. Oh well. So, and I'll go into into everything on the Broncos later, much later. And of course, another game was the Chargers versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals won 24-17. One notable performance I'll give is for the Chargers is Austin Eckler. He's primarily the backup running back to Melvin Gordon. He had a decent game. He had 22 yards on 5 carries to go with 42 yards on 2 catches. 42 receiving yards on 2 catches. Still solidifying that backup running back spot he has. Of course, I'm going to go in Rosen later when I talk about rookie quarterbacks. David Johnson did look good. He did look like he was improving. So there's always that. Yeah, of course, there's always more. Yeah, there's always more. All right, of course, you had the Bucks playing against the Dolphins. The Bucks won 26-24. Honorable performance goes to Ryan Griffin, who was 20 of 26 to go with 179 yards and a touchdown. Also, Peyton Barber also showed some stuff. 21 yards on 4 carries to go with a touchdown. And although receiving wasn't much better, had 2 receptions for a loss of a yard. So, and of course, looking at the Dolphins, Tannehill miraculously didn't get hurt, but they're all praying. They're all praying to God that he didn't get hurt, because I don't think they could go with Brock Osweiler for an entire season. Those poor fans. And I'm pretty sure there were some honorable performances. I'm gonna go ahead and probably give it to. Let me give it to Royce Perry, who had a good game, had 35 yards on 4 carries to go with a touchdown. All right, looking at more games. Of course, you had the Panthers going against the Bills. Definitely one honorable performance I'm going to give to is Kelvin Benjamin, who played against his former team and did very well. Showed some promise. He had 4 catches on 58 yards to go with a very impressive touchdown. I'm hoping that he didn't just leave it out on the field right there, considering it was preseason and not a regular season game. Although I'm pretty sure he wished it was a regular season game. An honorable mention going to the Panthers would have to be Taylor Heinicke, who was 7-9 to go with 121 yards and a passing touchdown. And again, I'm going to go over Josh Allen later when I talk about the rookie quarterbacks. So that's just going to be one of the main themes. And I'm quickly going over this. I'm not going into in-depth detail, even with the games I saw. Of course, then you had the Bears and the Bengals. The Bengals won 30-27. Trubisky did critique this team, talking about how the offense was pretty lacking, and I guess in some ways it was, but I'll give it honorable mention to Ryan Nall for the Chicago Bears running back, who had a very good game, had 95 yards on 9 carries, but no touchdowns to go. He also had 1 catch for 9 yards, but unfortunately no touchdowns. And of course, with the Bengals, I'll go ahead and give it to Jeff Driscoll, who was 10 to 15 for 140 yards and a touchdown. Also, although he did not run and surprisingly did not catch. He also had a game-winning touchdown throw to Auden Tate. I did see that touchdown. I did think it was very, very impressive. He does have some ability to probably beat out Matt Barkley as the backup quarterback. Yeah, there's some hope. There's some hope. Of course, the Browns and the Giants. Ooh, we gotta talk about this one. Of course, honorable mention. I'll give it to Baker Mayfield. Browns end up winning. Of course, it's preseason. Of course, the Browns would win 20-10. They won over the New York Football Giants. I'll give my honorable mention to Baker Mayfield, who was 11 to 20 for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. And of course, for the Giants, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Saquon Barkley, who was 443, who had 4 carries for 43 yards, but no catches. Of course, played in a very limited time, trying not to get him injured. And I did see his big 38-yard gallop. It was very impressive. There is some hope. I don't know if I would actually go ahead and declare him, first-round talent or anything. Keep in mind, actually, I'm gonna go over this after I talk about all these preseason games after these recaps, of course. Next, of course, you had the Saints against the Jaguars. Saints ended up winning 24-20 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. On performance, I'm going to give it to Taysom Hill, who's 8-9 for 72 yards, no passing touchdowns, but he did have 52 yards on 7 carries and a rushing touchdown, as well as a rushing touchdown. Performance goes to, for the Jaguars, Cody Kessler was 14-17 for 139 and a touchdown pass to Orndorff. Can't really pronounce that name. And I'm just gonna kind of breeze on by through this, so it doesn't take too much. I'm also gonna just kind of breeze on by through these. If there's a performance, I don't know. I'll probably say it right now. Of course, Ravens and the Rams also played on that Thursday. The Ravens won 33-7. Patriots and the Redskins played, with the Patriots winning 26-17. The Packers end up playing. Packers and Titans matched up, and the Packers came on top 31-17. Texans against the Chiefs. Texans ended up winning 17-10. The Cowboys and the Niners played, and of course that was a matchup I did really want to watch, but just wasn't able to. Niners ended up winning 24-21. Andrew Luck's return and Shaquem Griffin, who had an amazing performance, but it wasn't enough to help win this one for the Seahawks as they fall to the Colts 19-17. Jets, of course, in preseason fashion, sweep the Atlanta Falcons 17-10. As for the final game, of course, with the rest of there's going to be more games starting tomorrow with the Eagles and the Patriots. Then you have the Jets and the Redskins, and the Steelers and the Packers. There are 5, and then we're looking at 5 games Friday, 7 games Saturday, and 1 game on Monday night. So, looking at all these teams, so of course, looking at preseason, I know a lot of people complained about, kind of the speed as well as lack of tackling, but let's also keep this in mind. In training camp, I went to the Saints training camp on Sunday, and it's pretty much the same for all of these. You don't have live tackling anymore. You're not seeing these players hit each other as hard as they can, actually try and tackle and bring down. A lot of them do one thing and one thing only. They swarm to the carrier and just kind of wrap up and then let go. They're not allowed to live tackles, prevent injuries, as well as uphold the durability of these players, and they don't want to get hurt. They don't want these players colliding with each other, because there had been some pretty bad injuries when it came to live tackling, concussions, knee, arm, chest, you name it, just all these kind of injuries going on. So yeah, the tackling was a little bit lacking, and some of the stars are not trying 100%, not trying extremely hard as they would in a regular season game because some of them, they know they got this game on the wrap. They know they got their job on the wraps. They're not in position to lose this game. So once the twos and the threes, all these players are trying to make the team, trying to make the roster. They're giving it their all, and there's a big difference in performance. So just take it with a pinch of salt when you're seeing poor tackling, unless they're really really trying and they just still can't end up with the tackle. That can be concerning, but it's more of it's like I said, it's more of like I said, with no live tackling happening, it might skewer some. It might look like none of these guys can tackle, but I digress. And also there was also the numerous penalties. I think they had like what 200 over 200 penalties for over 2,000 yards accumulated. Jesus Christ! But I think it's just but I wouldn't be worried about this in the NFL. I think this is more a preseason thing. Trying to get these new rules in place. I think as the regular season happens, it'll be more laxed. You won't see as many penalties called because there'll be a huge momentum shift, and a football game will last about as long as one golf match. It's just I don't see that happening too much. I think it's a serious disruption to the momentum of the game, as a serious disruption to how quick these games end. Because if a game lasts for more than 3.5 hours without it being touchdown after touchdown, fans are going to get bored. I mean, they don't want a game to drag on because of penalties. They rather have the game dragged on because teams are scoring left and right. It's like a 35-38 match, etc., etc. So so all these penalties being called, I'm not entirely worried about all that. And all right, to continue, and of course, looking at these preseason games, it's time to talk about the rookie quarterbacks. And there's really four I'm going to mention. Of course, there was more like Mason Rudolph, Luke Falk, but there's no real indication that any of these guys are probably going to, threaten the starters for their jobs. But of course, you talk about the four first-round picks that happened: Mayfield, Darnold, Rosen, Jackson, and I forgot about Allen. So five. So five guys. So I took a look at all of them, and here's what I came away with: two really good performances, two rocky performances, and one of them kind of murky. But first, let's talk about the good ones. And of course, there being Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Both of those guys had real good performances. I was pretty impressed with what happened with those guys. Mayfield, I thought he had a very good performance. Sure, he was playing with a lot of twos and then eventually the threes, to where they had to bring in quarterback number 3 in at some point. But still, he had a very good performance, threw over 200 yards. From what I saw, he is bringing that same kind of talent he had in Oklahoma to the pros, and that is incredibly relieving. When I saw Mayfield play in 2017, I became an instant fan of him. I liked what I saw. I mean, sure, the height thing was, and of course, arm strength, but still, he played very well. He showed nice composure. He was plagued by a couple of drops, including from one of his rookie wide receivers, Antonio Callaway, had a bad game. I mean, sure, he recovered well, but he was targeted, I think, 8 times and only came away with 3 of them. That's disconcerting. And there was plenty, and I mean plenty, to talk about with Mayfield. I think the best throw he had was when he was under pressure. He steps up and delivers a rather low but still a completed pass to one of his targets. I think, and another one I would have to mention is his back shoulder throw to wide receiver Higgins. I thought that was a very good one. He played very well. I don't know if he'll ever be a starter unless Taylor performs at the worst possible time. I mean, he had a good game too. He was 5 of 5 for 99 yards and a touchdown. And So and he's probably not going to be one. He's probably not going to lose his job probably anytime soon. I think only durability, or if another Bills thing happens where the coach just all of a sudden gets up this huge hatred for him. So yeah, and of course the other good performance I'll mention is Sam Darnold. Right now he's getting quite a few praise for being, this well composed quarterback, just kind of this having a good mindset. And I thought he did well. Though really, when I was watching that Jets game, I was looking more for Teddy Bridgewater, because as we all know, his horrible injury that happened in 2016, where his leg broke in a million pieces, and he was out for well over a season. I'm hoping that, I don't know if he'll ever be a Jets starting quarterback, and they probably will trade him at some point, because Darnold is the future and McCown is going to be the mentor. But I really want to see this guy play as well as start for an NFL team before he turns 30. I thought he was a very talented quarterback, and 2016 was supposed to be his huge breakout year, but his horrible injury came in, kind of ruined everything, put it in doubt. And to see him perform and seeing how he did with the team in that preseason game gives some sign of hope, as well as some benefit the teams that maybe, just maybe, he can be a starting quarterback once again. And I really root for, and I really do root for him. I really do. He's a tough guy to hate, and I wish nothing but the best for him. And of course, talking about Darnold, he had a good game. I mean, it wasn't terrible by any means. He did well with who he had to play. I think Bridgewater started over him in that game, and it's just one of those things where you go, well, to remember how he did. It was kind of a blur. All right, he was 13 of 18 with 96 yards and a touchdown, and it did look like he looked very composed. I mean, he's dealing with what he got. He's not dealing with the ones. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever start and throw to guys like Curse and Robbie Anderson, who are your two starting wide receivers. But it does show some promise, and it could indicate that he might be the first quarterback to start to beat out his competitor. I'll get into Rosen eventually. And of course, both these quarterbacks might end up being starting at some point, sometime, and it'll be because of their overall talent and them beating out their starting quarterbacks. Of course, let's talk about the Rocky performance, and I think probably the biggest Rocky performance I thought was definitely Josh Allen. I know some people are going, "Well, he had a good game." No. It was most definitely a Rocky performance for Josh Allen. He had some good plays and also some bad plays. I think one play that was shown all over through Twitter was when it was 4th and 3. He was doing a play action fake. A guy came free rushing at him, and he tries to do the old college quarterback bail thing where he runs all the way to the edge of the sideline. But of course, there's two things. One, the margins are smaller, and two, defensive linemen in the NFL are also pretty fast. And what ended up being was that he tried to throw the ball while his ass was being thrown onto the ground. And unfortunately, he didn't get picked. I mean, if it did get picked and run back for a touchdown, I think it would have capsulated by the amount of suck that Josh Allen pretty much is. And there was this another throw where he throws this beautiful deep ball, but he threw it out of bounds. That would be so like during prime Michael Vick, where we would always make this joke where he could throw a beautiful ball 50 yards, but it'd be 10 yards. He can throw this beautiful pass, but it'd be 10 yards over his receiver's head. Yeah. So yeah, Josh Allen's accuracy woes that were critiqued heavily, they're coming back, and they're going to be there for a while for this team, for Allen. But fortunately for them, Peterman and McCarron did fairly well with the team what they were dealing with. They were going against the Panthers. God knows that God knows if Kuechly and Davis were playing more than half a snap. But the Bills really need a quarterback to step up, because from what I'm hearing, Peterman isn't doing too hot. McCarron isn't doing too hot in practices, and well, Josh Allen, of course. I'll just peek into Twitter and see what happens and what he screwed up on. And I think next game they're having McCarron start. They're trying to give all these quarterbacks start. I think by preseason week 3, that's going from the 23rd to the 27th. That will be McCarron's game. McCarron will start at some point. He'll be with the ones, and who knows who'll be the starting quarterback at that point. I think they'll do the Browns treatment, and you'll just have a different quarterback each week. Or basically what the Patriots do to their running backs. Yeah. No, I'm gonna go ahead and just say rocky performance from Lamar Jackson, because he did have a good play, especially on the ground, being mobile and such. He had I saw that run playing where he basically broke his opponent's ankles into a million pieces. I thought that was very entertaining and very, very lively. I really did enjoy that, but it's his passing to which I must watch and care about, and it was definitely rocking. He was 7 of 18 for 119 yards. I don't know if it was because receivers he was throwing to. I don't know if it's because I don't know if he's just not that good of a passer. But I can't. But it's very disconcerting. It's very concerning when you throw 7 of 18. I don't know if it's because of the poor weapons they have, and trust me, the Ravens do not have exactly the best type of wide receiving core in the NFL. But still, I probably have to rewatch that highlight tape and see what the hell happened. But hopefully he can definitely make plays with legs. I have no idea if he'll start it anytime soon. I think it'll have to be a point where he'll have to, kind of show that his legs are going to have to do everything like how it was in Louisville. And finally, the final performance, Josh Rosen, which was a bit murky. He didn't have a very good one, and from what I'm reading, it's all because of the offensive line. The offensive line played poorly, did not get after the quarterback well, didn't do this, didn't do that, etc., etc. Which, yeah, if the offensive line can't block for more than 2 seconds, that's kind of a big one. That's a big one. You need to protect your quarterback, and I'm pretty sure Rosen's going to get killed at some point if he starts. Hell, Bradford's probably going to get killed at some point. But he did have a couple nice throws when he was trying to keep clean. But it will be interesting to see. And of course, his starting is going to be based on how the durability of Sam Bradford holds up. If he can be durable, well, good for him. Good for him. But, of course, the rookie quarterbacks were not the only thing worth talking about. Of course, there was one quarterback I did have to watch, because I am slightly rooting for this team, and it was just one thing I just had to peek at, just based on all the Twitter reactions that happened. And it was the Denver quarterback battle between Paxton Lynch and these Denver fans. Holy crap, didn't these Denver fans hate him? I just read through these, and there was a GoFundMe page set up for Paxton Lynch to have his contract bought out of. They want this guy out of here. And it's hard not to blame him. This is a guy that he's been with the team 3 years. This is supposed to be your breakout year. What is going on? All right, first year, he couldn't beat out Simeon. Seriously, you couldn't beat out 2016 adequate Simeon. In 2017, it was a mixture of injuries and poor performance. So, yeah, now it's year 3. He still played like crap. Hell, his first pass of the preseason, his first pass was a pick, and he tried to kill his wide receiver. I'm reading all these blue check NFL reporters, and they were talking about how he's trying to kill his wide receivers, and judging by what's happening, I guess so. And all the calls coming for Chad Kelly to come in. And it looks like Chad Kelly for week 2 will be running with the twos. Of course, starting again is going to be Case Keenum trying to get a hold on his offense. And yeah, it's never a good sign when Case Keenum during an interview said, well, this offensive line is not as good. Well, I had to get used to this offensive line not being as good as it was in Minnesota, so I had to adjust my playing style. Thanks for letting Broncos fans know that a good offensive line could make you. It's the reason why you had a good season. I mean, yeah, you probably just had that one breakout season, and you're just kind of hoping that, and everyone's kind of hoping that one of these young quarterbacks, preferably Chad Kelly, would step up and be your usurp your starter. And from what I saw from Kelly, it could happen. I mean, I want to see him run with the twos and see if he can turn out a much better performance. Although it probably won't be as hard than Paxton Lynch. I did saw one of his touchdown throws where he took advantage of a busted coverage and had a man wide open. I do like Chad Kelly. I thought he was a decent quarterback in Ole Miss, and I think he does have enough talent to definitely beat out Paxton Lynch. And I think this could be Paxton's last year if Chad Kelly does beat him out. And will he be good enough to beat us, Keenum? I don't know. I think it's all entirely situational and on a week-to-week basis. And speaking of more quarterback drama, of course, you have Aaron Rodgers basically voicing off as much as he can. I think he's right, and I think what Drew Margie said in his "Why Your Team Sucks" piece on the Green Bay Packers, it could be coming more true and true each day. That that Rodgers is ready to leave Green Bay. He starts by bashing his young wideout, saying this is the worst wide receiving core I've had in years, and definitely being bitter about how the Packers unceremoniously got rid of Jordy Nelson. And Nelson's probably going to be the starting wide receiver for the Raiders, considering that potluck of joy that is going on. And of course, I'll talk about the wonderful things they're having with the Raiders later, but. And of course, is Rodgers really ready to leave Green Bay? Is Green Bay pushing him out the door between the contract standoffs, the wide receiving core he doesn't like? I mean, is this going to be the season where we're going to see Aaron Rodgers kind of check out every now and then? I mean, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers is the sole reason why the Packers are still Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. They're starting to build around him, and they know that they only got certain time left because even they feel like he's that Rodgers is slowly starting to walk out the door. I think he's right now about half a foot out the door right now. I think if there's no new contract on the table, he will be out the door in 2020 and be playing for some West Coast team. I doubt San Francisco, unless Garoppolo turns out to be this huge ass bust. But I think it's a matter of patience. I think one thing that's got to happen is that these young wide receivers need to communicate with Rodgers and be willing to step up more, because he does trust Adams. Cobb is starting to become a no-show. In fact, I think he should have been one that got released and not Rodgers. Two wide receivers definitely I think are pretty interesting are Marquise Scalding-Vanderling and Geronimo Allison. Those two wide receivers I think are probably going to help step up and improve this offense with Rodgers. It's just a matter of doing so. I think preseason is kind of a short kind of judgment, and I do want to see this team in regular season action. And unfortunately, they are not the only team with this kind of drama. Of course, you have the Oakland Raiders with their dilemma with a franchise player. Fortunately, it's not with their quarterback. More unfortunately, though, is on their key defensive player and their head coach, Khalil Mack. Who, from my hearing, he's still holding a standoff. Oh wow! And there's even talks about Mack getting traded to the Packers. That's just jaw dropping. What is going on with the Raiders camp? I mean, I saw Khalil Mack play. Here's the thing. I love Khalil Mack. Great guy, overall dangerous edge rusher, but is Khalil Mack? I mean, what is going on with? Seriously, what is going on with Khalil Mack? Is it the John Gruden influence, or is it just Khalil Mack being kind of bratty? I don't know if I think he has a. Oh wait, no, he doesn't have a long-term deal yet. Still working on that. He's still holding out. He's not with the team. And this is something. And if the Raiders even dare, in fact, if I were Mark Davis, I would fire that GM if he even thought for an instant on trading Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack is too invaluable. I think going to any other team, he would do extremely well. And of course, there's all these crazy fan takes that they would do for Khalil Mack, seeing what they would trade for. Oh, I'm going to trade them all these garbage players and maybe I'll get Mack. Yeah. Yeah, just keep this in mind, fans. The Raiders are going to ask for 3 king ransoms, as well you got to pay the player too. He's probably going to command probably $20 million annual salary with probably what $95 million guaranteed. Good luck trying to pay this guy. Good luck trying to pay this guy if you're a salary cap strapped team. Looking at you, Saints fans, and Dallas, and any other team with salary cap woes. And I'm hoping that, and for the Raiders' sake, they better fix this, or otherwise they're going to kick more retreads. Watch them have him call up Michael Strahan from the studio saying, "Hey, can you put on one more jerk? Can you play one more season?" Or calling Simeon Rice or some retread from some fossilized season. And it really goes to Gruden that you're fucking it up, dude. You're purely fucking it up. And we're it's only been almost 40 minutes and I'm ready to wrap this up. Of course, new Madden came out Friday, and I got a lot of mixed opinions about it. Of course, some people say, difference to the gameplay, better long shot, all these things. And also a new feature added to friggin' franchise mode. I always debate myself over buying this Madden game because this is something that it always feels similar. You just basically get an updated roster, some little bonus crap. But one thing that they're mostly and honestly keep doing is the MUT mode. The Madden Ultimate Team mode, where they put the most effort into it. It's a pay-to-win thing. They show so many highlights on it through social media as well as their team, as well as their own website. And that's where all the effort's being thrown onto. It's not being thrown to franchise mode, the gameplay, or hell, even halftime. Remember in ESPN 2K5, they would have Chris Berman do the halftime breakup and make it feel like it's an actual halftime show, like it being an actual game. That was exciting, but now it's halftime, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. Or hell, remember what they used to do, where it would just be halftime. It would basically pause so you can go take a piss and then come back, or get a drink, or get a slice of pizza. It's one of these things that you go, why, and And ever since they bought the rights to Madden, they bought the rights to football video games. This is what you've been getting. The same thing over and over again, different, just slightly different coats of paint. And of course, I don't know if I ever, and I mean ever, want to get this. I don't know if I want to get this. There was one year when I didn't get Madden. That was Madden 17. I didn't buy that game because Madden 16 left this huge and bitter taste in my mouth. And I'm gonna tell you about that experience. Okay, so Madden 16, the one with OBJ on the cover, um, we had. I was doing the franchise mode, and my best cornerback was like 81 overall, and it was Prime Delvin Breaux. Through 4 games of the season, my starting cornerback had 10 interceptions. No lie. Because here's what would happen. They would run the CP and I was playing on All Pro. I wasn't playing on All Madden. I was playing on the All Pro. All Pro difficulty. I wasn't playing on, the regular one. I wasn't playing on rookie. No, I was playing on All Pro difficulty because it gives me just enough challenge, but it's not too challenging to where it's impossible for me to win. But let me continue. So this guy would the wide receiver run this huge deep route down the field, and as soon as the quarterback throws, you know what you do? You would change to the corner, run all the way back, and then I played on Xbox, so I played this on Xbox, so I would press and hold Y. My guy would get the interception every time without fail. That infuriated me nonstop because most times I wanted interceptions to be gratifying as well as, great. I wanted it to be, kind of relieving. But to me, it was too easy to get an interception. I was basically after 4 games, I had like 20 turnovers. I had 20 turnovers. I had a turnover ratio of 20-2. I mean, seriously. And I just stopped playing it. Hell, I played Madden 25 more than Madden 15. In fact, if there's one game I go back to the most, it's ESPN 2K5. Yeah, that game from back in 2004 is still one of the better football games. Still has good reviews and such. And Madden's not going to break up the monotony because guess where all the money is being made? It's being made in the Madden Ultimate Team mode, MUT. And despite what you want to say about Longshot, I think it's an absolute garbage thing because when you look at 2K with their creation system, it's not only better, but it actually does its best to incorporate kind of a story mode. You get to control your player up, do whatever you want to his face, try and make it look as much as like you as possible or look nothing like you. I know a lot of people make it look as best as it can. And of course, when I played 2K18, signing shoe deals, choosing what advertisements you want, all the money that you earn, all this stuff. This kind of stuff was awesome. It made it feel immersive, and you wanted to do as much as you can with them, and even trading them, seeing the social media kind of thing, the thing with the stuff with your player reacting to other players, etc. It made you not only want to constantly revisit and go back to it, but it also gave you it gave it value and importance. In fact, there's still people playing 2K18 before 2K19 comes out in October. I think October. And I know a lot of people are going to buy that game because 2K18 is resonating well. But of course, Madden's not going to do this. They're not going to as long as they have the rights to themselves. No other company can do it. No, not 2K, not Sega, Nintendo, whatever. Because, yeah, 2K5 was not done by 2K Sports. It was done by Sega. Actually, I want to thank God that EA doesn't own the rights to basketball. Otherwise, we would just be getting the same crap year after year and more people stop playing it. Now, question is whether or not I would get Madden. If you're just addicted to it, then there's no reason to break it up for you. I mean, apparently this kind of monotony is stuck on you to where you're not going to want to do, to where you're just going to want to keep while playing it. But if you're sick of the monotony, you don't like you don't like that single player story mode thing, you want it to be something similar to how 2K does it, to where it's your own player and you get to create your own journey. Since NCAA, since the NCAA football series isn't coming back, why not create a guy from high school to college to pro, and stuff like that? Why not do that? Or have your guy come out of college, does well in training camp. I'm sorry, not training camp. Does well, back how they used to do this thing called NFL Legends, where your guy would come out of college, he would do all these drills trying to boost his draft stock as well as trying to improve his ratings. Even though I can go into the laziness about that, but that would take way too long. It's just, I'm sick and tired of it. Sick and tired of monotony. I mean, I do have a few friends that do buy it, and playing franchise mode with them is not entirely bad. I do enjoy it, but I'm tired of the monotony. Tired of the monotony of all of it. It just gets boring after a while. And of course, if so many people still play Madden Ultimate Team, that's pay to win shit, they're not going to change anything. They're not going to make a huge difference to it, unless it hurts their bank account, like that would happen with Call of Duty and Battlefield, or even Battlefront. Of course, we get to more infuriating stuff. My 5 worst secondaries in the NFL, and oh boy, these secondaries are bad, really bad. Let's start with number 5 being the New York Jets. Yeah, Buster. You know how bad it must be to have Buster Screen being your best corner? I know they signed Tremaine Johnson, but you still got Buster Screen and Mo Claiborne. Yeah, I would like to see Tremaine Johnson get his ass beat over and over again. I mean, he's not a terrible corner, but he's just going to be essentially by himself. And of course, Jamal Adams is a good safety, and Marcus May probably could be a good safety, but again, once you get past Tremaine Johnson, it's just pretty shallow. It's very shallow. They need like a Patrick Pearson, or hell, even a Sean Lattimore kind of cornerback, or Jalen Ramsey. Just nothing. I don't see much into that secondary, and I don't see why. And I don't know if it'll really ever improve. Number 4 is the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, how about that? They appeared to my worst wide receivers, and now they're appearing to my worst secondaries. And it is bad. I mean, ever since they let Josh Norman go, it's been terrible. They traded away Darrell Worley. Thank God. And Bradbury, this young and promising corner from 2016, had a terrible 2017, and is still the number 1 corner, who I think is going to still be torched over and over again. I know they drafted a couple of rookies, but like I say about rookies, they don't mean crap until they step on the field. And then there's the safeties. Oh my God, this is a terrible duo. They have a 39-year-old Mike Adams and the slow-ass Denoris Cersei. Oh, Matt Ryan and Drew Brees are going to have career years if they had to play that team over and over again. I'm sorry, they're going to have career games. If they throw for under 400 yards on these teams, the Panthers might as well go ahead and give themselves a pat on the back and say, progress. I mean, seriously, who are you going to have going against Julio? At least the Saints have someone going against Julio. Are you going to go against Michael Thomas or Mike Evans? Yeah, that's what I thought. Number 3, a little tricky, but it's pretty hard to say. But I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be Seattle Seahawks. Isn't it pretty amazing how they had the Legion of Boom 3 years ago, and now they have only Earl Thomas? I know Shaquille Griffin's supposed to be this up and coming corner, and I'll give him that, but the rest of the depth is pretty pathetic. They have no idea who's the other starting safety. They have no idea who's the other starting corner. I mean, right now it's a dried out Byron Maxwell. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Seattle. Luckily, they have some sort of pass rush, or else, they would be carved like Thanksgiving turkey. I mean, I'm going to give Shaquille Griffin the benefit of the doubt, but again, your best player, Earl Thomas, he wants to be traded. Oh, I can see that 6-foot hole you're being buried in right now. Earl Thomas is not a bad player. I really enjoyed him. Injuries have kind of caught up with him, and I think he's going to be traded at some point. And again, yes, my money is on Dallas. Man, this is going to be a long recovery for them. This is going to be a long recovery for this team, trying to see how they're going to get this secondary back into shape of how they were. It's going to take a lot of good drafts and a lot of promise, and as well as just a lot of good prospects. Watch Pete Carroll get dumped at the end of the season because that's probably what's gonna happen. And number 2, guess which team pops up again? Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, so far we've had a lot of retreads. But yeah, the Indianapolis Colts has a terrible secondary. I'll give Malik Hooker this. He's a very good safety, a very good young ball hog. Just stay healthy for me, please. And it's hard to say whether or not these young corners that they have are going to be anything. Quincy Wilson is very meh. Pierre Desir is very meh. I think Matthias Farley is a decent, strong safety. But again, you're going against Nuke Hopkins and whoever Jacksonville's throwing at you. You're lucky T.Y. Hilton's on your team, or else you'd be screwed. Or else you're going to be screwed. And yeah, they focused more on improving their offensive line, and trust me, they needed that. But that secondary isn't going to do much. It's going to be the reason why Andrew Luck's going to have to throw for 5,000 yards, 900 touchdowns, just so they can win 6 games. Yeah, they're hoping that shoulder is back and fully healthy because they're going to need it. And number 1 shouldn't be no surprise to you. It really shouldn't. It's the Washington Redskins with the worst secondary ever. And let me get into it, okay? Because they recently had this big news on that they got rid of Orlando Scandrick before he even played a down. They signed him a 2-year deal, and they thought, oh, here's a guy here's this vet who's probably going to have this breakout season, probably the next 2014 Tonio Cromartie. But they cut him. And now you have Fabian Monroe and all these other unknown names having to fight for that second position. Oh, keep in mind, they traded away Kendall Fuller for what Kirk Cousins was going to be in 5 years. Yeah, they traded away a guy that was so great. They traded a guy that was he wasn't so great. He was promising. Now he's going to do slightly better in Kansas City, but oh my god, this is just it's painful. It's painful to see. And of course, you look at the safeties. They trade away Stuart Cravens because God knows what happens. But who cares? Okay. Who cares? And of course, the Swearinger, who I swear is the most Richard Sherman clone I've ever seen, except he doesn't even have really the talent to back up all this talk. He's essentially the Sherman mouth with adequate talent. Seriously, that's DJ Swearinger. Those are my 5 worst secondaries. If you don't have any worse. If you know any words, do mention in the comments below. In conclusion, I'm probably going to have this show on next week. I know what's going to happen. I'll look at week 2 and see what else these other big news happening in the NFL. I'm trying to do as much as I can with this. Great, I got into a bad mood. Is there any topic you want me to talk about? Do let me know in the comments below. Is there any matchup or any position values you want me to take a look at? Again, take a look at the comments below. I definitely read them. And I do keep an eye on them. Until then, catch y'all later.